Today I want to talk to you about how to best communicate with an Amazon Seller Central rep so that you can get what you want. Now, obviously, this is not a 100% foolproof method for you to get what you want because sometimes they can't give you what you want, but a lot of times there's some certain ways to communicate, certain methods to use in order for you to be able to get what you're looking for or get closer to what you're looking for. So I'm going to share these tips with you. There's 8 of them that I've been able to use when I've communicated with Amazon Seller Central, and I want to let you know what they are. There's a lot of different times when we need to communicate with Amazon through their Seller Central, their representatives, and you want to make sure that you're doing it the right way. So you might have to ask for them to remove a feedback that someone left for you that was unfair, or it was a product feedback and you're trying to get them to remove it because it was a product feedback that's on your record. Like, no, that's not my fault. Or you might have, there's a listing that's on Amazon and you're like, hey, that picture's messed up and it needs to have a better picture, or it needs to be in a different category, or the title, there's a misspelling in the title, you need to fix that. There's all sorts of different reasons why you would open up a ticket with Amazon. And so I want to make sure that you are properly, prepared to be able to communicate with them in a way that you'll be able to get what you want. The number one tip is I always start out communicating to Amazon via email. They have 3 different ways that you can open up a help ticket with Amazon. You can do an email, you can have them phone you, or you can do an online chat. And I find that I'm able to find more success when I start with email. And the reason why is because everything is written down and you're able to explain yourself and set the groundwork, set the foundation. Yes, it takes a little bit more time for them to reply, but for me, it helps me get to the solution faster to start with email. Everything's in writing, everything is able to be clearly communicated. And so I always start with opening up an email ticket. The second tip is don't get emotional. A lot of times when you're opening up a ticket with Amazon, you might be frustrated or mad. You're like, your mind has been blown to pieces because you're like, how could this happen? How could someone give me a negative feedback when it's not really for me? How could somebody change the picture of a shirt I was selling to a picture of a coffee mug? I mean, and so don't get all emotional. Calm down, take a deep breath, and just tell Amazon the facts. Stick to the facts. Don't get emotional. And especially if it's Amazon's fault, the seller rep who's there, I'm sure they get people who get very emotional, even attack, even call names, use profanity. Don't do that. Just stick to the facts. Number 3, right in the very first email, give them as much information as possible that's pertinent to the case. In other words, if you're talking about a certain product, be sure you give them the ASIN. Be sure that you give them the FBA shipment that the shipment ID that is involved with a certain question if you're wondering if an item's been checked in or not, or why an item's in whatever different problems with the items. Be sure you give them the information up front. You don't want to overload them with too much information, so you need to make sure that the information that you give them is pertinent to the case. If you can phrase something in one sentence instead of a whole paragraph, do it that way where it's just in one sentence. But give them as much information as you can up front that's important, because that saves time when they're like, well, can you give me the ASIN for that item? Or, well, can you give me the, like if you're wanting to get a product page updated, they'll ask you, well, you need to give us proof of why this should be updated. So, if you're wanting to make sure that a certain spelling is changed on a product title, or if you want to make sure a picture is changed, be sure you have the web address of the manufacturer's website that tells the correct spelling or shows the correct picture. Have that kind of information up front and be able to deliver that to the Amazon seller rep so that it just saves time and for them to be able to have all the information. A lot of times, even when it comes to reimbursements and requesting reimbursements, I'll even go as far as stating, I had this item priced at $25, so after Amazon fees, I probably should be reimbursed $19. That saves them time of trying to go in and come up with their own idea of a reimbursement, which is probably going to be less. And so, I just go that far as to try to give them that kind of information up front. So number 3 was giving them the information that's pertinent right up front. Number 4, when you're communicating with an Amazon seller rep, put everything in, like focus your request around the customer experience. So when you're communicating with Amazon, focus your request around the customer experience. Like if you're trying to update a product page, you can say, having the correct spelling in the title will help customers find this item faster and will have a better customer experience. Or having a clearer picture in this product page will help the customer have a better experience because they'll be able to see the item better than they want. So be able to try to phrase everything when it comes around the customer experience. Number 5, I can't count. Number 5, be nice. We talked about this at the beginning about not, just sticking to the facts and not getting emotional. But number 5 is be nice. Thank them for their time. Tell them that you appreciate them. Don't just ignore their email when they reply to you and you're like, all right, I'm done. Just send them a quick email. Say thank you. Follow up by giving them positive feedback if they're able to help you out and it works out in your favor. Be nice. Just being polite goes a long way with an Amazon seller rep. They have to deal with a lot of crazy, frustrated people who are needing help, and I can't imagine the stress and anxiety that puts on them. And so just you being polite and saying, could you please blah, 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 or thank you so much for this, or I know you're busy, but I appreciate you looking into this. So, be able to communicate that with them in a nice, positive, kind way, and it will take you far. Number 6, if you don't get the answer that you're looking for, ask if you can escalate the case and speak to a supervisor. Sometimes the person who you're talking to doesn't have the power, or sometimes doesn't understand the problem quite as well as you would hope they would understand it. And so if you keep coming into a roadblock, ask to speak to a supervisor. See if you can communicate with a supervisor that might be able to understand what you're saying a little bit better, or might be able to really give you the kind of answer that you want. So ask to escalate that, speak to a supervisor, and be able to talk to somebody who might actually be able to help you. Number 7, if you can't speak to a supervisor, I would suggest just closing that case and reopening a brand new case with somebody else. Another Seller Central rep, because a lot of times there are some Seller Central reps who won't forward you to a supervisor, or who just are very hard-nosed and won't do the things that you're asking them to do, and they're being hard-headed. And so if that doesn't happen, just open up a new case and talk to somebody else. It's very likely that you'll talk to somebody else, and it's possible that you'll have someone who does understand what you need, or who will escalate the case to a supervisor who can be able to help you out. So that was number 7, opening up another case, just brand new, with talking about the same thing. And then my last tip is that if going through email doesn't work, then I would move to a phone call. If going through back and forth, communicating with email doesn't work, then I would go into a phone call, and I would go through these steps again, making sure that you try to give as much information as you can up front, being very kind and polite, not over-emotional, being sure that if that rep on the phone is not able to help you, that you ask to speak to a supervisor and escalate that claim. And if that doesn't work, start over, make another phone call, and talk to somebody else. So those are the things that I found that have helped me be able to update product page, get negative feedback removed, get reimbursements that were, maybe they gave me a small reimbursement and I thought I should have gotten a higher reimbursement. Being able to go through those types of steps and be able to connect with the person on the other end, and have them, see that I'm a real person and I'm kind and I'm just trying to get some help from them, and being very appreciative of that help. Help goes a long way in getting the things done and getting the things accomplished that I'm trying to get accomplished through the help on Seller Central. So those are a few of the tips, and I hope it's been helpful. That's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you scroll down below, you can like this video, leave a comment or a question. And as always, if you want to find out how to make a full-time income with spending only part-time hours on FBA, come to the blog, fulltimefba.com. I'll see you there.